Okay, good evening. Today's daf is Daf Tzadi Gimel. We saw yesterday machloikis between Rav and Shmuel. If someone sells his friend a shor, and it turns out the shor is a nakhan. Now, majority of people, they would buy a shor to work the shor, to work the land. So this turns out a shor that you can't work because the shor is a nakhan. The only thing you can do with the shor is shechtim and eat its meat, and that's worth less than the shor that what is worth what is worth for plowing. So Rab says the mekach tois, the deal is off. Of course, why? In Maskana, it's going after Roiv. We go after Roiv, and Roiv shvarim are for working, and this one was not. And Shmuel was mechadish dein holchem macha Roiv. That's even after that. Let's say the price of meat went up, and the price of tircha, nonetheless, Rav says it's a mekach tois, because holchem b'mamen acharoiv, and Shmuel is of the opinion ein holchem b'mamen acharoiv, and that segues into tonight's Gemara, questioning that shita. We'll see Bez Hashem. Question was asked by a wonderful Talmidim, Dov Sandberg. Asked the question last night that the Gemara, he was mecham to the Gemara, and Baruch Hashem, we're very proud of him.
I came back to give the answer.
Okay, very good. Okay, so stay awake. Says Tashma.
Record?
Yes, Tashma. Sadik Beis, Sadik Beis, Amid Beis of Tashma. Hamoicha Eved lechaveroi. Someone sells an Eved to his friend. The Nimtza Ganif. And it turns out that what? That the Eved is a Ganif, right? You know, before obviously he bought him. Well, Kavustis, or he's a kidnapper. So says the Tanakami Giyoi, the Kayach gets it, and there's not a Mekach Tois. The deal is done. List the Mizuyin, if he turns out to be an armed robber, or Muchtav Malchus, or he's the Melech, he's on death row, and the king is going to kill him, right? So list the Mizuyin guy is considered dead. Why? Because he's going to kill other people. The Rashbam says so. He's considered dead. And Muchtav Malchus, he's considered dead. So this is a case, guys, where you bought a Gavra Katila, you bought a dead guy. So the Mishnah is the Bryce is making a distinction between buying an Eved that turns out to be Stamaganif, or buying what? An Eved that turns out to be a dead person because he's going to die, because he's going to get killed. So in that case, it doesn't say Higio that the deal's on. You can say the Loikeach can say, here's your Eved, give me back your money. Good. Here's your Eved, give me back your money. Now, my timer, La Mishum de Ruba Hachi Isnahu. Isn't it what that most of the avodim they're ganovim, and nonetheless it says that it's a mekach tois. So you see, you do go after roiv by mom, and it's a kash on Shmuel. Guys, it's a kash on Shmuel from the Reisha. Again, what does the Reisha say? Says the Reisha, if it turns out that your Eved is a ganif, right? It's a higiyai. The deal is done, right? That the deal is still on, right? If it's a ganif. If he turns out to be right? He turns out that now, why is the deal on? Why can't you tie the mekach tois? Right? It must be because you go after Roiv. And Roiv are ganovim, so you got what you bought. Says Rashbam. Reisha my timer. What's the reason for the Reisha? Higiyai, that the deal is done. There's nothing worse than having a ganif or a kidnapper. Nonetheless, the lekeach is kana. The deal is done. It's not a mekach tois. The afagav lekibel love mumen beferish, even though he wasn't makabel these blemishes in this individual eved. Lav mishum deruba avdei hachi esnahu. Most of avodim ganovim moikav useless. They engage in stealing. Uledas kain kanu lekeach, and lekeach bought it, understanding this. Ukamisha kibel love dami. It's if he accepted it. Alma b'mamayna azlina basaruba. You see that by mom, and you go after Roiv. V'kashal l'Shmuel. So until now, the questions have been on Rav. This is the question on Shmuel. Again, the question is in the first case where the deal is done, despite the fact that Roiv avodim aganovim, the deal's still on. Why is it on? Because since you go after Roiv and you understood it when you bought this Eved, that this is what you're getting. So Memela, says the Gemara, listen to this. Loi, kula hachi isnahu. Not Roiv, but all of them are ganovim. Not Roiv, but all of them are ganovim. All. It's unbelievable. You know, all. So therefore, it's not Shver on Shmuel. It's not Shver on Shmuel. If they're all Ganavim, there's no Roiv over here. In other words, you understood it when you bought this Eved, you're buying a Ganif. Not that he could be a Ganif. He is the Ganif. I once heard that there was they asked one of a ger about who kept the Zayim mitzvahs, and they asked which one of the Zayim mitzvahs is the most difficult to keep. You think Aroyas? He said Geneva. They said Geneva. The hardest one to keep is Geneva. It's very interesting how instilled in Jews from an early age is the concept of how can you steal? How can you take something? But it seems that in another culture, another religion, it's not. You see from this Gemara, all avodim are ganavim. It's. I mean, to say such a statement is unbelievable. I mean, you have to find. I'm sure it doesn't mean there are individuals here and there. It means there's a roiva majority, and then there's the miuta sheb miuta, but it's much more than a roiv. So you have a miyat that not. You'll tell me what do you mean? How can you say that every single evid is a ganif? It doesn't mean that. It means that it's more than roiv. Yeah, super majority. That's what it means. It's more than roiv. Right. Yeah, roiv can be 51%. Right. This is it's pushing the outer limit. Toshma. Shosha. We brought this in yesterday. Shosha nagaches apara, a shor that goes aheadward, and shtois is a para, it goes a para. V'nimtza uber b'tzida, and now we know for sure. There's no question that Reuven shor gorged Shimon's cow. No question about that. You find a dead baby on the side, and the question is it a result of the goring and Reuven's going to have to pay Shimon, or the cow miscarried beforehand, and therefore Shimon's pata had nothing to do with the baby. Any you do, it's not known. Im actually nagcha yolda, if what actually nagcha yolda, oy im nagcha yolda. Mishalim chatzinesek lepara, revia levlad. You're going to pay over here, guys, chatzinesek for the para, that's for sure, and revia levlad. Now, who is this shita? Guys, this is Sumchis. Fellas, eye contact. This is Sumchis, who said, Momin hamutal b'safik cholken. So now, let's make a distinction between our case and this case. Our case, you buy an ox, you expect that roiv oxen are for working. This turns out to be a shteiser. And this guy says, I thought you bought it for eating. I sold it to you for food. He says, roiv of the world goes ahead and buys it for working. And again, you weren't before, stam. Over there, Sumchis is Maida, HaMoitzi Mechavero Alav Lehevi Araya. If you don't go after Roiv, HaMoitzi Mechavero, you want to be Moitzi from the Meicher money, you got to bring a Raya. There we don't say it's a suffix, what you meant. When does Sumchis say, Mam and Amutta B'Suffix is, Beli Tana Seyem Yesh Suffix Lebesdin. Without you opening your mouth, we have a suffix. No one knows when this baby was born, right? Your Taina doesn't create the suffix. The suffix is created in Mitzias. That's when he sends Mammon Amut B'Suffix. But when it's your Taina that creates it, I meant this and you meant this, then he says he agrees that might be Varaya. It's an important Nakuda in the Sugya. Okay? Look at the Rashbam. Before it gets very wide, two lines up before it gets wide. Umiyu b'dishmuel moida Sumchis. Sumchis is moida by Shmuel. The Amrina and Amoitzi Mechaber Olav Araya. You know why? Sure, it's suffix b'maisa. The suffix didn't take place in an action, such as a goring and finding a baby on the side. Kihachak, kitapishas le'el, like I explained on the Amid Aleph, on Sadik Beis Amid Aleph. Shariadav do a heichaya amecher. It's known that there was a sale. Now, the sale was a sale. When did the suffix arise? Right? When when it's Moitzi Mechaveroi is when the suffix arises. It's not known how but what you do know over here, I sold it to you. You kind of I bought it for this. You kind of I bought it for that. Then he's of a raya. Again, that's an important distinction between the two. Oh, by the way, grandson's name is Avram Yeshayahu. He's named after Chazon Ish. His bris was this morning in Jerusalem. Right. Thank you.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. And a good time was had by all. All Yeah, well, other rabbis, nichtas the priest shalom from Avinu. Okay, so this is Maman Amut B'Safik in the Bechatzines of the Par of Real of Vlad. Now, ve'amai lema holach acha roiv parois. Why is the din that you're going to pay a quarter for the Vlad? Why don't we go after roiv parois? The roiv parois misabrois v'yoldois, right? Most parois what? Right? Go ahead, what? They misabrois v'yoldois. In other words, do most cows give birth or most cows miscarry? Most cows give birth, correct? So you go after the roiv, mistama, this child came out as a result of the nekicha. Good. Yeah, we're saying that what? You're saying you don't. It's a suffix. So what do you see? That you don't go by mamin, acha roiv, and a kashan rav. One more time. If you go after roiv, then you're going to say that this child came. Reuven should pay chatzi nezek, because the roiv screams out that it was the negicha that caused the baby to be dead. Because most times they don't miscarry. Most times they give birth. Ella, when you say you don't know whether it was negicha or what or not, you see you don't go after roiv. It's a kasha on what? On Rav. It's a kasha on Rav. And for the Gemara, hasa mishun misafkala, the ikalamema mikama asa. There's a svar to say that the cow saw the shar coming. Umibiyususa, and as a result of the fear of getting injured by this bull, he pila. It went ahead and miscarried. The ikalamema me'achayra asa, or this is far to say that he got gored from the backside, and we never saw the shar coming. Umingach nacha ve'pila, and then it was caused as a result of the shtoising, of the goring. So having mamen amot b'safik, v'chol mamen amot b'safik cholkin, and mamen every case of mamen amot b'safik, therefore you will be cholkin. So over here, there's another reason why to go ahead and say divide it. Because you're unsure. There's a suffix over here. What's the suffix? Whether it came from the front side or the back side. If it came from the front side, I don't know if it's a svek, but it's a suffix. Let's see the Rashbam. I guess it took place in the universal spot. Umishani, it could have turned like a little bit before, and all of a sudden it never saw it coming, Yeah. Okay, let's see Rashbam's second line down. Umeshani haslam mishun misafkon kloimar lo'ilam b'mamin holach acharoiv lo'ilam, like Rav, when it comes to monetary matters, you will go after the majority. But haslam minu taima, what's the reason that it's considered the chashav le'mamin amot b'safik? Why is this considered money that's a suffix? You don't know what the status of the baby is. Mishum dechinami aslin basaruba. Even if go after roiv, a kati sveka behach negichas shar lemifteri. Guys, you hear? Even if you go after roiv, that most shars don't miscarry, over here there's an added aspect that this shar could have miscarried. Mikama keneged paneha. When roiv shars don't miscarry, if they're not scared to death, but if something happens, such as a bull coming next to you, hey, it would scare the daylights out of me too, right? So in other words, there's svara to say that. So in other words, this breaks the roiv, guys. This is makish the roiv. Even after the roiv, you still have a suffix. The Rashbam explains. What's the suffix? If you saw it coming, it's ken zayin. Because of fear, it's going to go ahead and miscarry. So asa shovin nacha umach must be susa, and because of the fear, koidim negicha hipila shekein derech lahapil machmas pachad kamei machmas negicha mamish. They're going to go ahead just as they as a result of being gored, you'll miscarry. You'll miscarry as a result of fear as well. Okay, so very gishmak. So Rav has held serve. We asked on Rav l'chayra. It's mamen amot b'safik. The sure that it miscarried as a result of the goring. No. Could be you go after Rav and it didn't. Maybe now we have another suffix. What's the suffix? Whether it came from the front side and was mappled because of fear, or backside and not. So therefore, it's mamen amot b'safik v'cholken. Says the Gemara. Let's say it's machlokes tanaim. Le'mikit hanoi. Let's suggest that machlokes Rav and Shmuel is tanaim. Okay, again, Rav holds by mamen holchen acharoiv, and Shmuel says b'mamen loy holchen acharoiv. And for those people who weren't here yesterday, you can listen to the share about we spoke out of Pnei Yeshua based upon Gemara's in Gittin and Rashi and Gittin to explain why over here it's different. Kitanoi. Shar Shahaya Roya, a shar that was what? A shepherd. Shar Shahaya Roya, a shar that wasn't a shepherd. The shar was grazing. V'nimtza shar horig b'tzidai. And you find a dead shar next to it. Afa pishazem menugach, even though this one is gored. V'zem muid ligach. And we have a chazaka that this is a muid. You hear? So you have a bunch of shvarim, guys. You find a gored shar. And among the bunch of shvarim, you have what? You have a shar that's been established as a gora. Zem nushach, you have a shar that's a bitten. V'zem muad lishach, excuse me, and this is a muad for biting. Ein oimrim biyadua shezen nakhu, v'zen nashchu. We don't say an umdina that go and say that this what is the shar. We don't say that. We don't say that. We say that there's other shvarim there, and maybe what you go after other shvarim. Rabbi Acha is of the opinion, Gamal ha'oicher, a Gamal who is according to the Rashbam is busy procreating, and at that time they're a little nuts. Tosfos says, interesting enough, that why a Gamal? Because a Gamal is a tsnua when it comes to tashmish, and therefore, if you're going to go ahead and fool around at this time, dafka a Gamal. According to the way the Rashbam explains it, any animal is capable of going nuts at the time of tashmish. But according to the Gamal, according to the Rashba Tosfos, it's what? According to Tosfos, it's since it's a tsanua, and you stare it at that time, that's why you're in danger. The Ritva says, since it's mishamish b'tznius, he'll kill anyone that looks at it. In other words, it's a tsanua to a large extent, and therefore it doesn't want anyone looking at b'shas tashmish. So therefore, that's why you're in danger. So you have a gamal ubein agamalim, the nimtzu gamal harik b'tzida. You find a dead gamal next to it. Biyadua shezel hargu. So in other words, Rav Achaz of the opinion, whether it's a shor or a gamal, you could be chazaka that what? That the one that was busy, the one that was a mu'id, or the gamal that was busy, that's the one that killed it. Whereas the Tanakama said no. Tanakama said you have no raya. Okay, now over here, guys, we have a chazaka. What's the chazaka? That a shor that's a mu'id is chazaka. It's going to gore. What about we have a chazaka that a gamal who's busy procreating, or right, or will kill another gamal. That's a chazaka. Now the Gemara wants to equate chazaka to roiv. The Gemara wants to equate chazaka to roiv. So the Tanakama, right, goes after roiv. Right now, excuse me, Tanakama does not go after roiv. Ki hadadi ninu lema Rav damak Ravacha. Rav, who says that you go after roiv by money, would also hold that you go chazaka after roiv. So just like we have other camels, just like we have other shvarim, we're going to say this particular shar did it, this particular what, this, right? This particular shar did it, this particular gamal did it. Yeah, guys, good. So too, by roiv, we'll go after the roiv, we'll go after the majority, because he's equating roiv with chazaka. Good. Says the Tanakama, you don't. So Memela, Rav, who says that what you go after a roiv would hold like Ravacha, and Shmuel says you don't go after roiv would hold like the Tanakama. Then it's lav dafka this gamal, lav dafka this animal, and therefore you won't go after roiv. Lema Rav damak Ravacha, Shmuel damak Tanakama. Amalach Rav, another Amri, I feel the Tanakama. I could say even according to the Tanakama. In other words, maybe roiv and chazaka is a difference. Ad kan like Tanakama hasam ella deloyas lina basa chazaka. You don't go after chazaka. No, you don't go after the umdina. You don't go after the circumstantial evidence, as Ravi said. Avabasa ruba as linan, but roiv you would go. In other words, guys, roiv chazaka, guys, roiv chazaka, ruba adif, guys, ruba chazaka, roiv chazaka, ruba adif. So Mamela, Rav, who says you go after roiv, is not locked into saying you go after chazaka. So over here you can agree with the Tanakama that you don't say it's this gamal, you don't say it's this shar. Ushmul Amalach, another Ami Afil Ravacha. I who hold that you don't go after rov, over here would hold you go after the camel or after that shar. I'd kind of like Ravacha Hasam the Ella Daslina Basa Chazaka to who gufa muchsik. Avabasa ruba lo yazlinon. Over here, gufa, it's muchsik. But over here, where the animal is gufa muchsik over here, therefore of achas of the opinion. Mashain came by roiv, enachinami. Now, what does it mean that what? The gufa, the shore is right, the shore is right there. It's a muchsik there, that's that shore. The gumel's right there. So in other words, really, Rav Acha can hold you do go after rov. But over here, it's such an it's such strong circumstantial evidence, right? All of a sudden, you find a dead shar, and what do you find? You have a gore in the. You find a dead. You find a person that's dead. You have 10 people there, and among the people is John Dillinger. For those who remember John Dillinger, right? Yeah. Okay, John. That's Derringer. Not. Okay. Again. You find a murderer. Okay, so therefore you're not locked in. Very geschmack. Toshma. Hamoiche peiris lechaveroi. Dov, you have to get up. Dov, this is your thing. Okay. Toshma. It's hard to read it. Hamoiche peiris lechaveroi. Someone sells peiris to his friend. Vizaron plants them. V'loit samchu, and they don't grow. Va'afilu zera pishtin, that usually is for planting and not eating. Eina chayav b'achriyuson. So this guy tain is what? I bought it for planting and it's not growing. He tain is I sold it to you for eating. What's the din? He doesn't have to make it up. He doesn't have to make it up. Even it's roiv of the zera pishtin, right? Mm-hmm. Now why doesn't he have to make it up? My afilu, lav afilu zera pishtin, the rubel is zavne. Most of it, guys, is what is sold for planting. Afilu hachi lo yazlin and basa ruba. There's your kasha. There's your kasha. Okay. So in other words, they don't answer it. They don't answer the kasha. It's a bomb kasha on Rav. You see, you're not going after Rav. When the flax seeds, say flax seeds that are planted, nonetheless, you can taina the moicha kataina I sold you eating. You're not going after Rav. Says the Gemara Tanoihi, it's a machlokes Tanoim. Okay, nice Rashbam over here. We brought in a machlokes Tanoim earlier, and now we're bringing another machlokes Tanoim from our Mishnah. Why do we bring in the first one? Because the first one we refuted. The first one we were able to say, well, Shmuel can hold like Rav Acha and Rav can hold like the Tanakama. This one we won't refute. This one they will remain a machlokes Tanoim. And again, Amoraim don't like to go against another Tana. They want to come out, according to everyone. So the first one we were able to establish that they came out according to everyone. Rav according to the Tanakam and Shmuel according to Rav Acha. This one clearly is going to be a machlokes Tanoim. That one says you go after mum and you have to go after roiv, and the other one says you don't go after roiv by mum. Okay, the Tanya. Now, according to Rashbam, we take out take out these words. Hamoicha peres chaver zarn. Start from here. Zeroine gina. Someone is a brisa that says someone who sells zeroine gina. Now we said that's. No one eats this. No one eats this. Hazareya Magina, she'ein ne'achalin, chayiv b'achriyusan. You have to make it up. You can't tie into that what? You can't tie into that. You sold it to eat because no one does. So therefore, if it doesn't grow, the Meicha is going to have to make good to lekeach. Zera pishtin, however, zera pishtin, ein chayiv b'achriyusan. Zera pishtin, you're not chayiv b'achrayus. Why? Because ein holchin b'mamin acha roiv. Because even though most people use flaxseed for planting, it's a roiv. But ein holchin b'mamin acha roiv. So this is the Tana that Shmuel goes according to. Good. Now, Rabbi Yossi Omer Amid Beis. Rabbi Yossi says, "Noisin lo demei zera." He says, "What? You have to make it up to him." Says Rashbam, "Sheroiv pishtin sheba'olam nizra." Most of flax seeds is used for what? For planting. So you can't taina what? For eating. So what do you see according to this? This is Rav. So the Tanakama holds like Shmuel holds like the Tanakama, and Rav holds like Rabbi Yossi. And Rav holds like Rabbi Yossi. Amru loy. They said to Rabbi Yossi, many people buy flax seeds not for eating, for planting. They use it for medicinal purposes. They use it for eating. So why do you say roiv? Says Amalai, many people buy it for different things aside from planting. Now, that's what. So we have three shittas, guys. Three shittas: Tanakama, Rabbi Yossi, and the Amrulai. And they said to him, okay, I'm telling you that Machloikis is either between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi, or the Tanakama and the Amrulai. Amrulai also goes after Rav. Now, what's the Machloikis between the Amrulai and Rabbi Yossi? They're both going after Rav. That we'll see right now. But for all intents and purposes, we know the Machloikis Tanoim. Rav, who said that what by Mom and Hochamachla Roiv, that's Rabbi Yossi. That since the majority of flax seeds is sold for what? For planting, you can't tie into the Meicha that what? That I sold it to you to eat. Whereas the Tanakama said, no, you can go ahead and tell him, you're not Chaybach Rayas, because you don't go after Roiv. Amrulai, on the words of Rabbi Yossi, that you say that majority of is used for what? For planting, there are people who do it for other reasons. Not Mantanoi, either Elam Rabbi Yossi, Amrulai, Mantanoi, Elam Rabbi Yossi, Amrulai. If you say the last two opinions, Shavayu Basaruba Azal, they both go after Rav. Mar Azal Basaruba the Inshi, the Amrullah go after the majority of people, and the majority of people do not use flax seeds perhaps for planting. Ma Azal Basaruba the Zare, most go after the seeds themselves. In other words, there's Rav people and there's Rav seeds. Rav people, not necessarily that are used to plant, and he goes after Rav seeds. So therefore, that can't be what? That can't be the Shita of Reb Shmuel. Ella Itanakama of Rabbi Yossi, Itanakama of Omrulai. It's either Tanakama, who holds like Shmuel clearly, or Rabbi Yossi, or the Tanakama or the Omrulai, who go after Rav people. Tanrabanim. Ma'u Noisin Loi, when it says that the top line guys, Noisin La Demei Zera, what do you give him? You give him what? So Demei Zera of Loyitza. You give him what? Only the price of the seeds, but not his expenditures of fertilizing and plowing and workers. And there's others who say, well, you even have to provide not only give him the price of the seeds, but all the work that he expended trying to go ahead and get it to grow. You'd have to go ahead and make that up as well. Man Yeshaimim, who is this Yeshaimim that says you would have to make up the expenditures, not just the seeds? Rav Chisda Rav Shimon Gamliel. It's Rav Shimon Gamliel. Now the Gemara is going to look for Rav Shimon Gamliel. So guys, we concluded the Rav and Shmuel is Machlokes what? Tanoim, we happen to pass like Shmuel. What's a klal in Shas, guys? Rav and Shmuel, halacha kirav be'issa, halacha kishmuel b'mamin. So we pass like Shmuel. That aim holchamam machar Rav, which is a huge chiddush because we always go after Rav. I mean, it's a great kasha. There's a Tosfos Yeskid in Chav Zayin and Baba Kama. I forgot the teretz, but kasha was a great kasha. Where did we Achei Rab Lahatos? To say by dini nefashis, we'll say we go after Rav. By dini mamish, you don't go after Rav. I mean, the Kal V'chaim, if you're going to go after dini, if you go after dini mamish, it's going to go. If dini nefashis is going to go after Rav, right? I mean, it's a good kasha. I'll look at it. Look at Chav Zayin. I see the Chav Zayin and Chavav, the top places. Probably based. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. So what's the nice and light? It's one opinion. Demei Zera Yeshaimim even Haitzah. Who's the Yeshaimim? It's Rav Shimon Gamliel. Now, which Rav Shimon Gamliel is it? Elam Rav Shimon Gamliel Masnisa and Rav Shimon Gamliel of our Mishnah. Let's see our Mishnah again. That Nan Hamoicha Peres is Chaveroi. Someone sells Peres Stam. If Zara he plants them late Samchu. Vafil is Zera Pishtim, which usually is what made for the purpose of planting. Ein Chayber Chiyusan, because he can taina. I sold it to you for eating. Aim is safe for Rav Shimon Gamliel Leimer. Seroine Gina. However, it's something that can't be eaten. Shein and Echolin. Chayber Chiyusan. Right? Yechayber Rayas. Now, why would you say over here that what? That Hanami Nami Hochi Kamar, Zera Pishtan Hudain Chayber Chiyusan, Hazera Gewani Shein Echon Chayber Chiyusan. Guys, what the Chayr is saying the same thing. The Tanakama only said if it's some the roiv plant, but some eat, then you don't have to make it up. The Meicha doesn't have to make it up. But one that is never eaten, like such Zeroine Gina, like we said, Kruv Kaflut, the Tanakama agrees with Rav Shimon Gamliel. So what are you telling me? It's Rav Shimon Gamliel of our Mishnah, and he's speaking, not only you have to make it up, but Haitzah as well. The Tanakama also would agree with that. Now, Elolav, it must be Haitzah Ikebinayu. Now, fellas, outside, when a Tana says one thing and a second Tana says a similar thing, the second Tana is always being machmir. That's the rule in Shas. The second one is coming to it on more. So this would be great. Tanakama says if you go ahead and purchase Zeroine Gina, which no one eats, then you're going to have to make up the difference. You're going to, guys, like has to tie it to you, and you can't say I sold it to you to eat. Says Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, the same thing. You know what he's saying? Not only do you have to make up the price of the seed, you have to pay for all the expenditures. And now, l'chayra, that's the Rabbi Shimon Gamliel of the Yeshayimim. That's the Yeshayimim. You know, he's adding on to the Tanakama. Tanakama says you got to pay. He says more than you got to pay. Not only for you to pay for the seeds, you got to pay what for? Right? I'm just thinking. Do you guys remember in comic books in the back they would have you sell seeds? Yeah. I don't know. I'm aging myself, right? You remember that? Right? In the back of the comic books, you buy seeds and plant them. I face farmer seeds. You make money. I remember such a thing. Yeah. Oh, X-ray glasses. Yeah, you pervert if you
Little soldiers, 100 little soldiers.
100 little soldiers. Doc tells us
Sea monkeys.
Doc tells us it didn't work, so he went to medical school. Anyway, Hesh, everything you say is being recorded and will be used against you.
Sea monkey. Sea monkey. What are you talking about?
Okay, anyway, so guys, so Geshmak, so L'chayra, Shim Gamliel Mishnah is adding on this din, right? He's adding on the din of that the Chayiv Vaitzah. My love, Masava the Meizera, the Tanakama says you only have to pay for the seeds. Umasama, Afaitzah, and Reb Shimon Gamliel says even though Itzah. Now the question is, Mimai, what guys? There's no mention of Itzah whatsoever in the Mishnah. Just at Chayiv Bachur Yusan. We're extrapolating that he must add something. Mimai Dilma Ibcha. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's the Tanakam who said you got to pay for everything, and he said you pay only for the seeds. Says no, you can't say that. Holy kasha, you can't say that. Kol Tana Basra Litfuye Milsaka Asi, because I just told you any last Tana is coming to add. Okay, now the Gemara now asks another kasha. Now, guys, here's a big aside. I found this fascinating. I love when mechanics of Gemara are brought in by Rishonim. And look at the Rashbam, guys. Holy kasha. It's just good to know. Go down a little bit in the Gemara, in the Rashbam. Holy kasha. Im ein kushya acheres. If you don't have another question, zu ein a kushya. This is not a kasha. V'chol heicha dika pircha achrita. Anytime there's another kasha to be asked, Kamar, Gemara, holy kasha. The Gemara will say holy kasha. In other words, anytime the Gemara says you have a kasha and it says holy kasha, he's telling you this is not a kasha, but the other one is. But what I'm about to tell you now is. It's giving it's very. I find it fascinating. You know, how many times you have this in shots, right? And the Rashbam is explaining to you. Anytime the Gemara says "Holy kasha," what's he telling you? This is not a kasha. Oh, but this one is the kasha. So to say it's a kasha that this one follows this one, that you can't say the opposite. Why? Because the latter person is definitely adding on. So Rav Shimon Gamliel will be the one who adds on expenditures. He'd be the one that adds on Eitzah. Says the Gemara, but well, you want a kasha, right? Here's the kasha. The Dilma cooler of Shimon Gamliel. Maybe there is no machlokes. Maybe the whole Mishnah is of Shimon Gamliel. The Chsui Mechsera, and you're missing words. V'hachi Ktani. In other words, it's better. Rosh Hashanah speaks out. It's better to learn Chsui Mechsera and give a doichetik teretz of throwing in Hoitzah, which has no bearing whatsoever. You're just throwing it out of the blue, right? So it's a doichetik chilik. So I have another chilik. You know what the chilik is? There's no machlokes. V'hachi Ktani. Right. The Reb Shimon Gamliel. These are Reb Shimon Gamliel. Why? Those are the extra words. Reb Shimon Gamliel. That what? Zera Pishtin, you don't have to make it up. Right? Reb Shimon Gamliel, Zeroini Gina Shein Nachal Chai Bach Yusan. But Zera Pishtin, you're not chayiv. Okay? So Memela, that's a better teretz than what? Than Haitzah, which is a daichik. Memela, this can't be that Reb Shimon Gamliel is the Yesh Omrim who says you got to pay for Haitzah, and you're telling me it's Reb Shimon Gamliel. It can't be Reb Shimon Gamliel of our Mishnah because Reb Shimon Gamliel of Mishnah doesn't mention anything about Haitzah. Geshmak. Elo har Reb Shimon Gamliel, guys. It's this Reb Shimon Gamliel. The Tanya. Hamoyle chitin litchain, right? You bought chitin to be grinded. However, below the sasan, the grinder failed to go ahead and soak it, and as a result, you ended up with bran, with the outer shell in your dough, in your flour. Vyasa subin or mursin, either fine, rough bran or fine bran. Kemech lenachtoim, you gave bread to a baker. For afoy pasli pulin, and if a baked and it fell in. In other words, you gave it to a not necessarily a pshia, could be. He's an artisan. You could expect him to go ahead and do a better job. Behemula tevach, you give a behemah to a butcher. V'nivla, and he makes it into nevela. He messed up the shchita. Chayiv, in all these cases, chayiv meshu kanoisa sacha. It's like a nice sacha. He has to go ahead and give him the worth of his embarrassment. He has a guest coming. He has guests coming, and he wants to put out food. And guess what? He's got nevela and he's got crumbs. He's got nothing. He's got worse. He's got whole wheat bread. It's a busha. Anyway, for Gemara, you have to pay demei boishtoi u demei boishes archav, and for not only, so no, in other words, not only does he have to pay for messing up, he's got to pay for the extra. This is Reb Shimon Gamliel, that what you pay for the Yeshayim pays for the Eitzah. Guys, this is Reb Shimon Gamliel, right? He's paying not only for the damage, but the extra. Very geschmack. V'chein hoya Reb Shimon Gamliel Eimer, minig gadol hoya b'Yushalayim, hamoisa suda lechaveiroi. V'kilkala, someone gives a suda to prepare, to cater, and he messes it up. He's got to pay for the host's boishes and the boishes of his archim. If you had a handkerchief, some type of tablecloth that was pyrus on the opening of the door, the whole time it was spread, that was a sign that open for food. The stalka mappa, if the malka was taken away, so this is Rosh Gamliel that you have to pay for the expenditures. Very, very good.
Well, look on my system.